Okay guys, let's get ready to roll, and today I'm on my Royal Enfield Classic 350 in that hot colour Desert Sands, and it would have been perfect yesterday because it was 31 degrees here, but I never went out on that one. It's 10 degrees less today at 21, so I thought I'd take this bike out, give it a 75 kilometre run. On this back road I rarely travel that much. Main reason I don't travel this road much is because, as you can see, it's fairly thick vegetation either side of the roll. And when you get into areas like this, like this year, it's been a really good breeding for the kangaroos in this area, so there's quite a good bunch of roos around with their joeys, and there's also, in this particular section, a lot of wallabies, and that's one of the main reasons. Kangaroos usually come out late in the afternoon, but the wallabies, they'll come out of this scrub anytime. So wallabies, in case you're wondering, roughly about a little bit different colour, like a real darker colour compared to a kangaroo, darky black colour, and they're about half the size. But that means nothing. Sometimes they fire out of these roads like missiles, so you've got to be prepared in that line. So that's the main reason. As you can see now, sort of thick scrub, they come out quick and could be party over for you really, really fast. So we're out here on the Desert Sands one. I've had this bike now for a few months and really enjoying the experience. And what this clip's about, 75 kilometre run through sealed road, dirt road, bits of tracks. It's a sort of a loop where, like I said, I don't come out here that much, but when I do, it's not a bad ride. So the idea is just to tell you about, my experience with the Classic 350 Reborn, and, if you're deciding, you might want to buy one of them, this could be the bike for you. So first off, these are really reliable rides. So I've never had any issues with them, and I've had about 4 of them. And if I bring up one slight problem they've had, the early models had wonky speedo. So in other words, the speedo jammed on them around about sometimes 80 kilometres after you'd completed 6,000 kilometres. And after that, it was a job back to the manufacturer or the bike shop and get them to replace the speedo. And after that was done, really no more trouble. So compared to other bikes, like these are really, really super reliable. Now, these run along well at once you run them in, and you take it easy on the run in, but they can run along at 80, 90, 100. In fact, I'm pushing close on 110 down along this straight here, and no trouble whatsoever, and that's on pretty level ground along here where I'm running along them. So they will run along all right, but overall the sweet spot for one of these would be around that, 90 to 100 kilometre hour cruise all the time. So after all, you've got 20 horsepower on tap, and some people say 20 horsepower isn't enough, but it's adequate if you're in sort of flat road running and you're not sort of encountering a lot of hills, because I don't like hills that much. But if you're in sort of good general running and you haven't got a really bad windy day where the wind's sort of howling into your face and slowing you down, these all move along no trouble in that 80 to 100, and 80's no effort for them whatsoever regardless, but when you're getting up at that extra 20 k's an hour to 100, that makes a little bit of a difference, and they're working a bit harder. Now, like I said, they come in at 20 horsepower, 5-speed box. They've got a couple of safety features like dual channel ABS, which is always handy to have, I think. And they run on 19-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear, and come in at around about 195 kilos. So overall, they're a pretty good little package to ride, and especially today, it's really nice out there. Look at the countryside I'm riding in now. Who could knock that, for a back road ride? And I think I've only passed 2 cars along here since I've been riding along. And, just a pleasure to be out there riding around. So overall, the seating position's really good on this particular bike because I fitted the touring seat, and you can buy them extra, from eBay and pick them up that way. They make a marked distance to how good the ride is with the touring seat. You won't have to worry about buying an air hook seat or anything like that if you put a touring seat on it, because it goes really well, nice comfortable ride. In fact, we're going to go up that road now I just passed shortly, and up further here we're going to throw the drone up. But before we get to that stage, the brakes on these weren't adequate for what sort of power it puts out and the weight of the bike. Very little vibration in the bike itself, slight bit of a tingle in the bars, nothing to get excited about, but in the foot pegs nice and firm. You can see out the mirrors okay, nice clear thing, doesn't sort of shake that around that much, you can't see what's going on. But I was thinking we may pull into this spot here, And like I said, this is a lengthier ride, so we'll go in here and I'll put up the drone. I'll just show you roughly what area I'm in at the moment. There's a nice area over here where I've been trout, or well, I never actually went trout fishing, but I know there were trout in this particular creek, and it's a really nice spot. And I'll throw the drone up and fire it over to you, and then we'll carry on in our way. So that's the plan here at the moment. Once I said, parked on the side of a hill, 21 degrees, nice day to be out and enjoying the countryside by yourself. And what better place could be to sit on your tail here. I'll give you a couple of shots of the bike now, and then we'll swing that drone up. Okay guys, this is just a quick look at the local area, and this is probably one of the top spots around here, I would say, which would have been perfect for fishing for trout, because I fished either side of this place, but over the years that I did fishing, they'd never let anyone in here to fish. And this is the most sort of valuable lander, I think, around this area, or on this particular road, because it's got the best pastures, best of everything, and that's probably why they never let us in. But at this stage, I'm out around pushing 800 metres out, 82 metres high, and just cruising over there. And this is, like I said, this is the first time ever I've been able to see these holes, because I recall going into the main house 3 or 4 times and over a period of 10 or 15 years. But it was always the same, sorry, we don't allow anyone to fish on the property. And that's how it was. And I could bet this would be as known as a designated trout stream, but just because it's a trout stream doesn't mean you can go in there and think, oh, I own the place and I can fish. That only just tells you that's a creek. It's what they stock with trout. And actually, going up about 5 k's back the other way, I once caught a 5-pound trout in one of the holes there under a bridge, and I've shown that bridge a couple of times there. But overall, it's a really nice place up here, and it's all really good to see how the countryside looks from there. And it sort of comes into some really nice, you'd have to be a fisherman to sort of understand how good this creek is to look at and think what parts of the creek could sort of house a rainbow trout, because in this creek, that's all there were, rainbow trout. Although, going back about 40 years ago, I was with a guy that caught a 7-pounder in another hole just up around about 5 kilometres back up along the road too, and I was with him that day when he scored it. Unreal fish, that one, but I'd say here there'd be some really big trout into it, and it comes into with some really nice bowls. Look, this is a good hole here, what I'm coming up, and I'm seeing these for the first time. Imagine just getting into that one there and giving it a workout, and it looks like it's getting better now. Like, look at this big channel it runs into, and then it sort of sweeps into a drop off there, like a bit of fast water, and then into that deep hole there. Geez, I'd like to get in there and give that a workout. But anyway, that's a quick look at the drone shots, and we'll carry on the run now, and we'll head further on into it, and now we'll go onto some dirt road. And like I said, this is a 75 kilometre run, so we can't stop at everything. So let's go. Here she comes now. Really quick. It's about ahead of me. I'll just watch this in case it doesn't land anywhere in the rock or cause any issues with the prop. But I think at this stage, all looks good. There. Right. I'll cut this off. Cut that one off. So in part 2, you'll find that I'll be riding 25 kilometres of dirt road, and it's a real sketchy dirt road too, with a lot of loose gravel on it, and a couple of times the bike's moving around quite a bit on it. But more importantly, on this part 2 of the clip, I don't realise until I'm right at the end when I pull the drone out and fire a bit of a shot of the surrounding, I don't realise at that stage that somewhere along that track, my phone has jumped out of my pocket, and well, it's gone. So I've got to get on the bike again and travel on the area I've just come along, 25 k's, looking for that phone. Now, did I find it when I was going along? No, I never.